has begun, at least what seems to be the beginning of it. I have my suspicions that I've made very clear at the discussion from last week, but to summarize the only parts that I can remember that I said, I have suspicion that it seems like instead of waiting till the end for them to either succeed or not succeed in the goal of immobilizing Gojo here, it seems as though we could be going a route where they actually are successful in that and do it very soon, like this episode. And if not this one, then the next one. But I'd argue maybe this one, because then it would open up so much more for so much chaos of so many other characters coming in by removing the most powerful figure himself out of the equation, right? And I think that narratively, that makes the most sense to charge us in that direction. So that's more so what I'm expecting and looking forward to. If that doesn't happen, I actually don't know the direction that we would take the rest of this arc at all, because I just feel like having somebody as strong and powerful as Gojo involved allows for not too much to really go on. It almost makes everything feel a little too predictable of the way that it's going to play out. So if you do remove him, it allows for so much more to occur that I think it'll be a lot more fun. So hopefully maybe something along those lines. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments with this episode or series before we get started. When this video is ultimately copyright claimed by Toho because they're the worst, there'll be a link in the description if you still want to watch the reaction that you can use to check out that. All right, cool. Let's get going with episode 9. It happened. I think that makes the most sense though. I think this is like perfectly in place for what you would consider to be a turning point of the story. The journey and the goal that has been set out for the past 20 something episodes now by this group of people has finally come to life, and they've been able to do exactly what they've set out for and wanted to accomplish, which is good for them, I guess. And we've removed probably the most powerful figure within this universe, at least that I'm aware of or that we've been presented to so far. Also considering the fact that he claims he is himself. So if we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that, it works perfectly because it's a turning point now that the power dynamic has almost shifted. They've always had the upper hand because they've had Gojo, and now that they don't, and we're going to seal him away, it's going to be interesting to see how exactly they plan to navigate things forward here. Now, I don't know, the prison realm basically grabs onto him there, right? Does he just like have to stand there now for like ever? Is he just like sealed in that, or does he like get sealed in the little box that it was in before? Does it like just like crunch him down and like compress him in a way into something smaller, and it just seals him away into that? And then we have like a little pocket-sized version that they're gonna be able to walk around with. Like, what exactly happens? Not that I guess it matters too much, but it's just interesting to know. Like I said, fantastic way for them to change, I guess, the direction that we're going to be headed now. It's almost like we're on the defensive, or we're going to go on the offensive, because we believe that's the proper route for us to go and take out these guys who are now going to start wrecking havoc and doing the things in which they want, or whatever their ultimate end goals are now. I don't actually know what their plans or goals are now. I can't remember. I'm assuming Geto had some sort of goal that he was setting out for at some point that he said, and it's going over the brain and I can't remember. But whatever that is, I'm assuming that they set out for that now, which starts involving killing off all the other sorcerers and doing whatever that they have to. So I'm assuming this is where shit's going to start going down. Everybody's probably going to come into this location now. We're going to have a lot of fighting, and we're going to probably trade some blows. We're gonna lose some people, they're gonna lose some people, I'd assume, and it's not going to be a pretty sight for either of the sides, although one of the sides values their people a lot more than the other one does, as we get to see this time with Hanami dying, and literally none of them really seemed to care too much. They just thought it was like another day at the office, so it'd be interesting, I guess, to see what exactly our matchups are going to be like, and what exactly the direction that they attempt to kind of take on that. It makes it so much more interesting too, though, with Gojo gone, because if he was still around, we know for a fact they'd pull something out last minute, he'd be able to come back and save everybody, and then you prevent a whole bunch of things happening that would make the story a lot more interesting, at least the way that I view it. So this works a lot better because we know for a fact he can't come back now for a certain amount of time. No, they did say, or Geto did say, that he'll unseal him, so he has the power to do so. Why would he do so is my question. I don't actually know. I'd also be curious into, I guess, the specifics of this prison realm. Like, I'm assuming he physically couldn't, like, do anything. Like, he loses all his cursed energy and has, like, no ability that he's able to do while he's inside, or while he's entrapped here, right? So that no matter how much time passes, he'll never be able to freely break out on his own. So I'm assuming it 1,000,000% would have to be somebody lets him out. And I'm assuming the only person that could let him out would be the person who's in control of it in some sort of way, which would be Geto. So why would he let him out? Doesn't make much sense to me. But I don't know. He would probably have a reason, and I'm assuming that would be the case because you wouldn't let that be the last time that you see the guy in the story. Like, it just wouldn't make sense, in my opinion, do that unless you're going to go the entire route of we need to, like, get to endgame, and then Geto's, like, in fear for his life, and he realizes that the only way that he can kind of survive or get through this is through using Gojo to fight Sukuna, who's probably going to be the guy at the end, right? And then be able to have that kind of constant battle between the two. I'd guess something similar along to that would occur, but I don't know for sure. The other thing that was really big, I guess, would be the Geto reveal with exactly how he's alive and all of that. I replayed the scene just because I wanted to try and understand it. I don't think I fully grasped what it was saying. It seemed basic enough between the idea that he can transfer his brain or he can transfer other brains into his body. One of the two combinations, I don't know what it is. So he's able to still live on and do that, but he takes over other people's abilities when he does it. So it's still him because he has all the memories and stuff, but he also has another. So is it like 2-in-1 type of deal, or like, what is it? Or is he just like implanting himself into like a vessel? And that's exactly like what he has, but he still controls like all the stuff within the soul. So that body that he's in has like a soul, and he's able to overtake that as well, and have all of whatever abilities and stuff that he wants through that. Is that along the lines, or am I well off? I don't know. I'll rewatch it when I edit it and see if I get more. You know, for a fact, when you start something like this and you're asking like opinions on this person or talking about this person in some sort of way, things aren't going to be good, right? Like, something's going to happen. I could have swore this was the exact sequence they took from the first season, and they did this as like one of the post-credit things or something. Like, I could have sworn, and it might have just been in a different format, but I thought they did something. And then we did like the, oh, you're wondering how I got here type of moment thing, but I didn't realize it until we got into the moment because it didn't really state. I just assumed he was just fucking killing people already, and they skipped a little bit, but I guess that's not the case. Gojo starts wrecking fucking havoc and killing these dudes. He makes some crazy faces throughout this, which just makes me feel like he really has joy when it comes to fighting and doing this, or he just loses himself, similar to how he got like that high in a way. When he became the what was the thing he said, the almighty one, or whatever he said. It's something about that, like he was a chosen one in a way, and it seemed like he completely lost himself in that flashback sequence. So I'm assuming it's a similar case that happens here. Every time he gets like into this vision of actually fighting, that's what happens. Us fucking murdering enemy is crazy. There's no need for all this. Just explode, bro, in one shot like it was nothing. It's kind of crazy. I love how every time we cut to Geto, he's doing like some simplistic thing. It's like they're playing fucking Monopoly, or that like a playground, or they're playing Mahjong, or they're doing like, like they're doing something. I don't know why. It's really cool to me though. And all those little flashes are ways to kind of keep up the pacing of how we're displaying this fight and this altercation between everybody, but also start slowly like dripping in some info to the viewer so that they can understand how exactly we're going to progress this, or how exactly what exactly the plans are. for everybody else kind of involved here. So we start using people in this moment to kind of get in the way of him so that he can't really do too much, which ultimately ends up turning into a issue here when we open up the train that arrives and all the transfigured people show up, right? So now we create havoc because these things are going to be after all the humans and the people involved here. It also poses threats as more enemies and things within Gojo's way, and then Gojo ultimately has to make a sacrifice like thing. He has to make a decision. He doesn't want to be the person who has to go out of his way and kill people. He's okay losing a few sacrifices or even a fuck ton of them if it comes to it, if it's through the causes of the curses or whatever else, right? And he doesn't want to be that person who is actually doing the killing and that the harm to all of them himself, and he doesn't know how he can kind of value or he has to find like a ground that he's okay with, because he's actually I this is where I had a misunderstanding, I guess, for his character. I always was under the impression that because he doesn't seem to value or care for the people who are non-sorcerers and doesn't like have any powers themselves here, he doesn't care enough, so he would kill them if they are in his way of kind of protecting the things that he cares about or the things that he actually prefers, which doesn't actually seem to be the case. He just seems to be okay if other people do it. He just physically doesn't want to be the one who does it himself. So he makes the ultimate decision here, which is fucking crazy if we're being honest, to do this. And I had zero clue what happened, but he goes into his domain expansion for literally 0.2 seconds apparently, and he kills an absurd amount of these transfigured curses, which is kind of crazy to think about. Very fun sequence though, when they're able to do this, just to showcase how quick he's really moving and how much is like on his mind within these few seconds and how fucking fast he has to go. I also like the narration coming in and just kind of explaining, being like, dude, they all would have fucking completely lost it and had no basic functioning anymore had he done it for any longer. So he valued it, like he figured out what exactly he could do to make this the most like effective situation, and then we come full circle, which is pretty cool. Prison Realm shows up and we get our finale almost here with Geto finally showing back up and the big reveal, which is great. I like how the flashbacks kind of kick in the moment he sees this person, but he denies that this is the exact same person, which is interesting to note, I guess. I talked about the whole thing with him a little bit earlier in my uncertainty on it. This is fucking crazy to me, like actually disgusting to look at. This is like what I mean by the line I'm confused on. He can pass from one body to another by replacing its brain with myself. Replacing the brain of another body with himself. But what does he mean himself? Is that like his soul, his present body, his like brain being replaced? Like what exactly does he mean? Am I overthinking this? It doesn't like word itself properly that I fully think I understand and grasp that. But that explains why his fucking head looks like it does. Gojo seems to have really high praise for Yuta here, being the one who actually killed and put an end to Gojo or to Geto earlier, but he doesn't seem to think that that's exactly the case, and he thinks that sealing him away is still the strongest thing for us to kind of do. This moment, now that that's over, also doesn't make any sense to me. Why he's hearing Mekamaru, why he has a Mekamaru thing on his ear, when this occurred, how he got this. I have zero fucking guesses for this, but he's dead as far as we know. So why he has this, it's not just like a, I don't know. I got nothing. I can't. I got nothing. Is he not gone? Or is this just like a computer-based version of himself that's like narrating this to other people? Like, what the fuck's going on? I have no idea. Pretty good episode for the most part. I personally like could care less if we do away with Gojo for like the entirety of the series. I'll just be real. Like, I actually could care less. I think narratively it makes way more sense to not have somebody like him involved, and it makes way more sense to make some more chaos kind of occur here, which is something that I like unpopularly am very excited about or happy about when it comes to a lot of shows, like because it's so rare in a way that you take an opportunity to actually like cause harm or do things to like the main cast, which doesn't typically happen in most shows. And I don't know for a fact if any of that's going to happen in this, but I am interested to see the direction that they do take. I feel like we've set it up well enough that my dreams of us like just going on like a fucking spree of like 90% of the cast dying as an opportunity here, which is like what I would love and would hope for, which is like unpopular, I guess, because a lot of people don't like that, or they like the people that they root for, and they grow a liking to live on and be strong and, you know, overcome things and stuff. And I get it, but to me it's more satisfying when we're just like, I do not care like the value that you think this person has on the story, for me to make it as interesting, unpredictable, and like fucking insane as I possibly can. We just have to remove anything that we can from this, and there has to be no restrictions on who can live and who can't, right? Except for main characters, because like that has to happen, unfortunately. I think it'd be way cooler if people just wrote stories and they constantly changed the main characters and allowed for you to kill them over time through like full sagas of that stuff. I think that would be fucking dope. We don't get enough of those anyways. But yeah, I think, once again, I think this is a perfect way for us to transition into something that'll be really excellent. It's a turning point, and I'm very excited to kind of see what comes next. It's going to be all from me. If you liked it all, like and subscribe to mean a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments about this episode or this series. I'll be back next week for episode 10. You guys have a good one, though. Peace.